Yep, this is me. So, I bet you're wondering how I got here at the Beyblade X National Championships. Yeah, so it was a long story to get here. Believe it or not, it may or may not have been a complete and total disaster. Robo Baycracker extraordinaire Rasami Baycraft here today. I'm going to be talking about some serious matters about the Beyblade X US National Championships / World Qualifiers. So, on today's thing, I discuss how before the event and the events leading up to it were an absolute disaster, okay? So this is going to be me going off on a tangent, right? So I had been prepared for the Beyblade X National Championships for a while, and it was held at Anime Expo. This was both a great move and a terrible move on Hasbro's part to have the Beyblade X National Championships held at Anime Expo. Because while this happened, they had a limit on how many people could participate. It was a 128 person tournament because Hasbro did not expect more than 30 to 50 people to show up. Takara Tomy had told Hasbro that it should be a 300 person tournament. Now, this information that I have is based entirely off of an interview that Jacob Pomegranate had done with the staff at the event. The staff... Now, I don't want anybody to hear anything, to say anything about the staff, because the staff running the event were great. The only problem was Hasbro, because Hasbro had to be Hasbro, and, you know, Hasbro's known for being terrible with this shit. But the Anime Expo staff and the staff at the event were great people. They were unfortunately just given terrible direction from Hasbro. But yeah, basically, 128 person event. More than 300 people showed up for this. There are people that had flown in from all across the entire country, spent hundreds of dollars just to go to Anime Expo for this event, right? Hasbro didn't have enough slots for everyone to participate. And a bunch of people were actually there at the convention center at 2 a.m. Like, they didn't even get in because of the limited participant slot. Whereas a couple people that were just randomly there for the event, not even for the event actually, they were there for Anime Expo. They weren't there for the Beyblade event, but they ended up showing up anyway. Some of them got in, but the people who were waiting outside at 2 a.m. just to make sure they got their slots didn't even make it in. And it was kind of insane because, like, even big YouTubers like LeftBurst. So we had all gotten there early, right? Sorry, this is really disorganized. I'm unscripted here. We had gotten to the event. LeftBurst, Jacob Pomegranate, Eddiehh Beyblade, me. We were all there, right? A bunch of the big Beyblade YouTubers. Well, I'm not a big one. I'm terribly small. Nobody recognizes me. Nobody knows who I am. Anyways, a bunch of the bigger Beyblade YouTubers like Jacob Pom, Eddiehh, and LeftBurst were there. LeftBurst, we had all gotten there early, right? So, because of the fact that we had all gotten there early, well, the entertainment hall, which was where the Beyblade X booth was, had opened at 8:30, yeah? And there was this absolutely massive crowd formed in front of the entertainment hall, waiting for it to open, okay? And remind you, we only had 128 slots open. This entire crowd was there for the Beyblade. There were people chanting, Beyblade, 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 before we had even gotten into the thing, before the entertainment hall had even opened, okay? These people were there chanting Beyblade. It was huge, okay? I wish I had got footage of this, but I didn't. But as soon as the entertainment hall opened, everyone rushed in, went straight to the Beyblade booth. I had heard that somebody actually got like pushed and shoved through the door. And honestly, like, it was like Black Friday. I was there, okay? But yeah, it was absolutely insane. And because the entertainment hall had opened at 8:30, whereas the sign-ups for the registration for the event was opening at 9. So the event staff had to tell us that we couldn't be in the area, right? So a bunch of us had formed a line and circled the booth like piranhas for about 30 minutes, okay? And those 30 minutes were kind of insanely chaotic. We had all formed a line, even though the event staff had told us there wasn't supposed to be a line yet. But eventually somebody came out with a sign that said that that's where the line started, and people started following behind there. LeftBurst wasn't aware this, as far as I was aware, right? I could be wrong about this, but LeftBurst wasn't aware of where the line actually would have started, and he decided to actually ask the staff if it was okay for him to join the staff and record the nationals for his channel. And yeah, so LeftBurst ended up getting out of line because he was afraid of not getting into the tournament at all, which he actually would have been the first in line had he not done that. But he ended up joining the staff and recording the event officially, right? So there goes an entire big content creator who no longer was in the tournament, however was rather recording the tournament, right? Jacob Pomegranate and Eddieh Beyblade still joined the tournament. They got knocked out at round 3. I got knocked out at round 2. For those who are curious. Anyways, that's beside the point, right? We had this big old disorganized line. People were kind of shoving. The event staff had told us to make sure that we were staying single file on the line, but some of us were against the wall, right? And it was impossible for some people to be stayed single file, and one person almost actually got kicked out of the event because of it. But like, it took people in the crowd just telling them, hey, they were in line, for them to realize, okay, sure. Right? Now, a lot of the chaos had happened before the event. People running to the Beyblade booth, circling around the booth like piranhas for half an hour. And once the event actually started, things died down a bit. Everything was okay after the event actually started, but I do still have a couple gripes with it. You see, instead of randomizing us to participate, we had all fought the person next to us. We had all fought whoever was next to us in line, which is honestly a huge, absolutely huge misstep, because a bunch of us who were next to each other in line were discussing what builds we were going to use or what combos we were going to do, and a bunch of us were actually lending each other parts. For example, the guy that was next to me when I went up, yeah, I had actually lent this guy my ripcord for my Samurai Saber hold launcher, and he lent me an entire Wizard Arc main blade and lock chip that I ended up not using because I didn't make it that far in the tournament, but I could say that I top 64'd at a national event because, you know, I did make it to round 2, so I did top 64. I can technically say that I am one of the top 64 players in the country. Anyways, yeah, the two of us had lent each other stuff to use, and lo and behold, we didn't realize we would be going up against each other in round 1 because we were told that we would be randomized. But no, we ended up fighting each other in round 1 because they told us that we were going to fight whoever was next to us in line. So yeah, it was a very disorganized preliminaries. Everything up until the preliminaries was super disorganized. Like, I don't blame the event staff. They were just following what Hasbro told them to do, but Hasbro messed everything up. The Takara Tomy reps were there. We were originally... The plan was to have the tournament run the same way that they do in Asia, because the Takara Tomy reps were there with the stadiums, like the Takara Tomy stadiums and all, and the stadium stands. But Hasbro had told them not to use them in favor of the Hasbro stadiums, because Hasbro only saw this as an advertising opportunity for their toys and nothing else, right? Hasbro is to blame for almost all of the disorganization here. And the thing about this is, the tournament was originally supposed to be a lot more organized. It was supposed to be the exact same way that they were run in Asia, with the Takara Tomy stadiums and the stadium stands. However, we ended up playing on the floor like a bunch of kids playing at some sleepover. It's really disappointing on Hasbro's part, because this is a multi-million-dollar company here with more money and organization ability than what was actually shown up here, you know? But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start showing footage of my tournament run while I continue rambling on, okay? So for my tournament run, like I said, round 1 was against the person next to me in line. So what ended up happening was, because I had lent him my ripcord and he had lent me an entire wizard arc to use, it felt weird because we had been helping each other in line figure out things that were absolutely insane. So anyways, here you can see that I'm on the X side, and you can see I'm using the green wizard rod here, and we ended up in a wizard rod mirror because I was telling him about the wizard rod setup I was using, and we were both using wizard rod on gear point. And yeah, so the reason why I used wizard rod on gear point was it had enough LAD to outspin Cobalt Dragoon Elevate, or at least it should have, right? Totally subtle foreshadowing there. But anyways, it also had enough stamina to outlast attack types, had enough attack power to beat Wizard Rod Ball. But the thing is, right, like, it feels weird knowing he would not have been using Wizard Rod Gear Point if it weren't for the fact that we were talking to each other in line for so long. So it ended up being kind of weird because, you know, we had been discussing things in line. And speaking of discussing things in line, we had not been told what parts would be legal and what parts wouldn't be legal until about the night before, because Hasbro didn't tell the staff what parts would be legal or not until like a little bit before. So again, I don't blame the staff. Like, Hasbro really dropped the ball with everything, right? So yeah, and as you can see, this is how I won round 1. And the thing is, even though I did win round 1, it still felt like... How do I explain? I don't really know, but like... I won round 1, but it didn't feel like it was actually earned, because like I was fighting the person I was talking to the entire time, and we were talking about what we would use at that point. And then anyways, here's my round 2 footage. But again, we had not gotten any parts that were... We had not gotten the legal list of parts or the ban list until like the night before. I had been telling people in line 5 minutes before the event what parts were legal and what parts weren't, because the NorCal Beyblade server for Discord and the SoCal Beyblade servers had gotten the ban list, because a bunch of us had been going around asking the staff what parts were legal or not, and we had compiled a tier list of legal bits, ratchets, and blades. And yeah, so everything was just kind of super disorganized until after the preliminaries were about over. And yeah, anyways, now transitioning into how I got knocked out of the tournament here. I was absolutely going to go insane, because yeah, a lot of things were crazy here. I got knocked out of the tournament because of Cobalt Dragoon on 560 Elevate. Despite, you know, I had made Wizard Rod on Gear Point specifically to beat this thing. Lo and behold, I found out that the green Wizard Rod that Hasbro produced is actually a nerfed version of Wizard Rod, where it's actually slightly worse balanced, and that's why my Wizard Rod lost to Cobalt Dragoon via outspins. Because realistically speaking, Wizard Rod should beat Cobalt Dragoon in outspin if you're on Gear Point, because the balance on Wizard Rod normally is a lot better than this. And yeah, the funny thing is, had I known this, I would have used my yellow wizard rod because I had found out after the event that Takara parts were legal as long as they were the same color as the Hasbro releases. So I could have used my yellow Takara wizard rod, which was much more balanced. Hasbro dropped the ball on pretty much everything. And once again, I could go into more detail about this, but I think Jacob Pomegranate's video sums it up so much better. Jacob Pomegranate's stream in particular, because he was the one interviewing the staff about pretty much everything involving the event, the organization, and everything. So if you really want, I'm going to go link Jacob Pomegranate's stream in the description because he summed it up better than I could have. But I'm just telling this from my perspective, and as somebody who wasn't really there, as somebody who was there but not behind the scenes or didn't get any exclusive looks. Okay? And again, LeftBurst was recording a lot of this stuff too, so I don't know if LeftBurst has the footage, but Eddieh Beyblade was also there. It's kind of insane. A lot of people didn't even recognize Eddieh Beyblade just because, you know, he's not normally the guy who shows his face unless he's at an event. But yeah, yeah, this event was kind of scuffed at least up until the preliminaries. Once round 2 of the preliminaries was over, everything became so much more organized and everything went a lot more smoother after that. So once again, they did get their stuff together. It's just that before the event started, it was everything crazy, okay?
Touch the Beyblade. The Beyblade is alright. Survive the finish. That's 4 points.
And this right here was the round that actually knocked me out. So, yeah, that was honestly, I was so embarrassed after this because I had made this combo specifically to beat Cobalt Dragoon Elevate. I have an entire tutorial over here that I'm gonna have linked up above, just showing that this build should beat Cobalt Dragoon Elevate. But yeah, I guess I'm on fraud watch now apparently. Yeah, let me go ahead and figure things out real quick. Okay, yeah, that's all the time I have for today. Stay tuned for part 2, where I'm going to talk about the good things that happened at the Beyblade X National Championships and the entire booth beforehand. Because, trust me, there were a lot of good things for Beyblade that happened here, and there's going to be a lot of good news as well in the next part, okay? I'm sorry that this part seems super negative, but I do have a lot of good things to say in the next part, okay? So I'm going to have that, just stay subscribed to the channel. Like, subscribe, comment. What were your thoughts on this part of the video? What were your thoughts on the Beyblade X National Championships in general? Just let me know, and I will see you next time, okay? This has been everybody's favorite Robo Baycrafter, Rasami Baycraft, signing off. Later!